Hello, good morning everyone. Welcome to our daily Hindu newspaper analysis. Today I am not feeling a little bit well, but we will try to continue the session, right? We will try to cover the Hindu newspaper. Maybe my energy would be low right now today, but we would continue our session, right? There is no room to take a, let's say, we can't have any complacency. अगर हम बात करते हैं complacent नहीं हो सकते हैं हम, right? So good morning everyone. Okay, we will let other students join and then we will start the session, right? Okay. Good morning everyone. Good morning Aditi. Aarti, sorry. Aarti, Yamandeep, Suvind. Good morning. Good morning everyone. Okay. I think now the students have started joining. Am I audible to everyone, right? Okay. So let's start the session for today. Okay, before I start the session, this is a thing that I want to tell you again guys, that this is our Ignited Current Affairs batch. It's covering all the things that are related to current affairs, whether it is the PIB, whether it is related to Down to Earth, Indian Express, the Hindu newspaper. If you want to join, you can contact on this number and avail this wonderful course for your future exam preparations, right? Okay. Now, this is a very important news that has been the headline for today. Very, very important. This has been the headline for today that says that RBI goes slow on rates, limits increase to 35 basis points. Basically, when RBI is talking about its monetary policy, it is talking about the main, we could say, the function of monetary policy, that is the repo rate. That is the repo rate. Now, this repo rate has been increased by 35 basis points. It has been increased to 35 basis points. Now, this is very, very interesting that you guys need to know. So, एक चीज that we have to remember, that is, what are these basis points? Basically, if I talk about 100 basis points, then it becomes 1%. This thing you need to understand, that 100 basis points make one particular percentage. So, RBI has increased the repo rate to 35 basis points, that is, the current repo rate is 6.25%. It is 6.25%. You need to know that this is the policy of the monetary policy of the RBI, that basically they want to control the price in the market, price stability in the market, or we would say inflation in the market. This is the main function of our monetary policy, that is to regulate the prices and to control the inflation in the economy. So, RBI has predicted that inflation would be around 6.7%. It would be around 6.7%. This is their projection, and global inflation is coming down, but they need to be extremely watchful. Now, this thing is very, very interesting. Government has set a particular band limit, we could say, for the range of inflation. That limit is basically between 2 to 6%. This thing you need to understand, that government follows a basically we could say inflation targeting framework that is given to RBI, and RBI then frames its repo rate according to this inflation range, right? But the inflation right now is slightly above this 6%. That would over the coming time would be decreasing, but we cannot predict the future, what is gonna happen in the future, like the Russia-Ukraine war. So, they are extremely watchful of this scenario related to inflation. So, currently the RBI has limited the increase to just 35 basis points. I hope this is the thing of the newspaper that we guys understand, and if you guys have been studying Hindu newspaper, you must be knowing about all these things: repo rate, marginal standing facility, policy corridor, right? Okay, moving further to the next news. Now, this has been the news that has been, like most of that from the previous days, have been coming in the newspaper. There is a boundary dispute between Maharashtra and Karnataka. Very, very important. There is a boundary dispute between Maharashtra and Karnataka related to a place called Belgavi. Now, this is one of the disputed area that lies between, we could say, Maharashtra and Karnataka. But right now, it is situated in the region of Karnataka. Very, very important to understand that this region is between which state? It is between Karnataka and Maharashtra is trying to have a claim on this region of Belgavi that was earlier known as Belgaum. I think you must have read it in your modern history that earlier this region was called Belgaum. So the area is Belgavi. Earlier it was known as Belgaum. It has been claimed by Maratha, or we could say the parties of the Maharashtra, that this area shall be brought within the ambit of the Maharashtra. But right now it is basically where this region is basically in Karnataka. Okay, you are from Belgavi. So see, we have one student who is from the place that we are just now discussing. Isn't it cool, right? Okay, Chetu. Okay, good morning everybody. Okay, I think you guys have understand the whole concept between this area, that is Maharashtra and Karnataka, and after State Reorganization Commission in 1956, this area was shifted to Karnataka. Earlier ये किसका part था? It was a part of the Bombay Presidency. Right? So this is the important news that have come up. We don't need to know क्या buses के बीच में क्या हुआ क्या नहीं हुआ, हमें crux जानने की जरूरत है. We need to know the crux, what actual is the situation. If I am talking about what is the border dispute between Maharashtra and Karnataka, it is to the area that is this Belgavi area. Right? Okay. Yes, after the State Reorganization Commission, this thing has been happening. Now, this is a very interesting news, a very, very important news from your prelims. Try to understand this news. This news is very, very important. This is a certain initiative of ISRO. ISRO inks MOU. Can anyone tell me the full form of MOU? Quickly in the comment box, write down the full form of MOU. Right? So, ISRO inks MOU to establish Space Tech Innovation Network, or we can call it SPIN as well. We can call it this SPIN as well. Very good. It is called Memorandum of Understanding. Very good. Okay. Now, ISRO has signed a Memorandum of Understanding with Social Alpha, a multi-stage innovation, curation and venture development platform for science and technology startups to launch Space Tech Innovation Network. Now we know there are lot of, let's say, startups that are trying to vouch in the space sector, so as to build the entrepreneurship among these startups who want to invest in this particular sector. So ISRO has launched a Memorandum of Understanding with this basic company, that is Social Alpha, in order to launch Space Tech Innovation Network. Right? This is India's first dedicated platform for innovation, curation and venture development for the burgeoning space entrepreneurial ecosystem. The space agency said that the tie-up is one of a kind public-private collaboration for startups and small medium enterprise in the space industry. Now this thing is very, very important. This is a kind of a public-private partnership. We always heard about public-private partnerships in infrastructure sector, if they have to build roads or railways or something like that. But this is a unique kind of partnership that ISRO has developed with this particular, let's say, company in order to bring the innovation in the space sector. Right? Okay. This SPIN or this Space Tech Innovation Network will focus on facilitating space tech entrepreneurs in 3 distinct innovation categories. So where its focus is basically 3 जगह पे focus है इसका, right? Geospatial technologies and downstream applications, enabling technologies for space and mobility, and aerospace materials, sensors and avionics. So basically anything related to space, they want to basically do what? They want to promote the innovation in these three fields, right? No, I am talking about public-private partnership, not PSU. Chetu, you have got that wrong, right? Okay. I hope you are clear with this news. It was a very, very simple news that have come up. Now, these type of news are very, very important if we are talking from ISRO point of view, right? ISRO has started this particular partnership with this social alpha company in order to start up this space tech innovation network, right? Okay. Moving to the next news. Now, I think everyone knows that this was one of the target that was being set by our Prime Minister at COP26 at Glasgow. I will tell you what happened at Glasgow. When Modi ji started his address at this COP26 in Glasgow last year, there was a huge shockwave across the countries. What? Because Modi ji had, let's say, given such ambitious targets for its country in order to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So that particular 5 nectar elements that our Prime Minister said basically was known by the name of Panchamrit. And one of the Panchamrit was to install 500 gigawatt of renewable energy capacity by 2030. This is a very, very important that he said we would generate 500 gigawatt of renewable energy by 2030. Very, very important. But there is a problem. If India wants to invest in this renewable energy capacity, then we have to make sure that we require a lot of finance. We require a lot of finance. As this article says, it could cost $2.44 trillion. And if I tell you about India, what is the demand of India? If India wants to commit to its climate goals, India wants finance from developed countries. That is the demand of not only the India but the developing countries as well. They want the finance from developed countries. So this is the article that is trying to say if India has to invest in the renewable energy, it would require a lot of finance. This amount is not a small amount but a very, very big amount. I hope you are able to understand what I am trying to say. It is a very, very ambitious target and it would be seen in the coming future what we are able to do in order to make sure we are able to generate 500 gigawatt of renewable energy by 2030. Can anyone tell me? This was one of the Panchamrit. There was also another Panchamrit that was net zero emissions. Can anyone tell me the year by which we want to achieve this net zero emissions? Write quickly in the comment box. Yes, the year where we want to achieve net zero emissions is by 2070. There is a question from one student said, why don't we make commitments based on our capabilities? If we don't make commitments beyond our capabilities, then we will never be able to increase our capability, right? This is a thing that doesn't apply to countries, it applies to an individual as well. We have to think way beyond our capability, then only we would be able to give more than our 100%, right? So never think beyond or at par level with your capability, always think beyond that level where you want to reach, right? Okay. So this was the news that was very, very important, that we need to install 500 gigawatt of renewable energy, but that would require a lot of money. Okay. Good students, I am seeing that you are well prepared, right? Okay. Now this is a very interesting article or the news that has come up. I would try to tell you the story behind it, right? Story से बात करते हैं ताकि easy रहेगा, right? So there is a demand by a certain section before Supreme Court. What is that demand? They want a certain converted Dalits. I am talking about Dalits here who have now become converted, let's say into Hinduism, बुद्धिज्म में कन्वर्ट हो चुके हैं, सिखिज्म में कन्वर्टेड है या क्रिश्चियनिटी में कन्वर्टेड है. they want to get a SC quota. Very, very important. They want to get a SC quota. So the Dalits which had converted now, wants their original supreme scheduled caste quota. Now, they are saying that we need to be granted this quota, right? So Supreme Court was hearing petitions related to this thing only. Can we grant quota, that is SC quota, to these Dalits who have converted themselves, right? So center has said there is a panel that we have set up regarding this thing only. So wait for your order, और थोड़ा टाइम ले लो, उसके बाद ऑर्डर दे देना, बट अभी थोड़ा वेट कर लीजिए. That panel is basically Balakrishnan panel. Very, very important. That panel is basically panel is Balakrishnan panel, right? So this panel recommendations are pending, but this is a one thing that the petitioners want regarding to this SC quota. They are saying that a certain rule shall be struck down. I will tell you the name of the rule. The rule says if you have to be included in the SC quota, very, very important, then you have to be extremely socially, educationally and economically backward. This is the criteria that has been set up by the Supreme Court if someone wants to be included in the SC quota. Now, Dalits who have been converted into Hinduism, Jainism, Sikhism and Christianity, government is saying that yes, we have a certain population of SC in Hinduism, Jainism and Sikhism or Buddhism, right? But, sorry, Buddhism mein Hinduism, Buddhism and Sikhism. But Christianity is an egalitarian society where there is no concept of caste system. So how can these people be given SC quota? According to this rule basically which has been laid down by the Supreme Court. So the demand of petitioners is they want to get the SC quota. If they want to get the SC quota, they have to fulfill this demand, but which is not being met by them because they have been converted into, let's say, Christianity. So this is the problem that these petitioners are facing, and Supreme Court has been sought by the center that you have to wait for your order or reserve your order before a panel that has been under this Justice Balakrishnan, its recommendation shall come up, then only you give your order, right? Okay, I hope you are able to understand this concept, right? Let's try to understand the inclusion of a group in the SC list under clause 3 of the Constitution Order 1950 would be required to show extreme social, educational and economic backwardness arising out of the practice of untouchability. The government argued that Dalits who had converted into Christianity or Islam to overcome caste oppression cannot now return to claim reservation benefits enjoyed by those who choose to stay back in the Hindu religious system. Now this is the thing that the government has said. The people who have now converted into, let's say, Christianity or Islam, they cannot say that we want to get back into the original system and get our SC quota. Now this thing has been put on reserve and it would be only be solved when the, let's say, Justice Balakrishnan panel recommendations would come. I hope this thing is clear to you guys, right? Okay. Vicky, you need to frame your question better. I am not able to understand your question. Okay. So this was a very important thing that has come in the newspaper. It is the recent debates that we are witnessing related to Collegium, National Judicial Appointment Commission. Let's try to understand what is this whole situation, right? I will tell you this in brief. After the 99th Amendment, Supreme Court judges appointment or High Court judges appointment, procedure was changed from the collegium system. And this collegium system is basically, let's say, formulated or it has been evolved after the 3 judges cases, where they say there has to be a collegium of Supreme Court Chief Justice and 4 other judges to get appointed for the names, that is to recommend it to the president for the appointment of the judges, right? So this was a thing that has been listed, and there is the article number 124 that tells us about the appointment of the judges. ठीक है, 2 आर्टिकल है, 124 है और दूसरा आई थिंक इट इज अराउंड 217. ठीक है, आई थिंक हमें चेक कर लेंगे, क्रॉस वेरीफाई कर लेंगे, बट ये 2 आर्टिकल्स हैं दैट टेल्स अस अबाउट हाउ, लेट्स से, appointment of judges shall take place, and over the period of time it has evolved into a collegium system. But 99th amendment changed this whole concept and gave the power for appointment to National Judicial Appointment Commission. Let's say it would have certain executive members as well as Chief Justice of India. One of the problem with this National Judicial Appointment Commission was, let's say if there are 4 people, let's assume there are 4 people. One of them is CGI, right? Another judge. If any other 2 people veto the names that have been suggested by CGI and this particular judge, then that recommendation would become null and void. That is for the appointment of the judges. So, in 2014, we had this amendment, 99th amendment, but in 2015, Supreme Court struck down this amendment as null and void. They are saying that in related to the appointment of the judges, you are taking away one very important word. You are taking away the primacy of the Chief Justice of India, where you have given veto power in this National Judicial Appointment Commission. So this is totally against the Chief Justice of India primacy, and it is basically violating the basic structure of the constitution, that is independence of judiciary. Very, very important. It is the basic structure, that is the independence of judiciary. So as a result, they struck down this provision of National Judicial Appointment Commission. But they have said, yes, there are certain things that needed to be done in order to reform the already existing system, that is the collegium system. Now the whole debate is around reforming this collegium system, because there is certain, let's say a little bit, what happened, हमारे collegium ने names recommend किए, but most of the names were returned, right? So this is the problem that we have with the collegium system. But NJAC was abolished. That was basically, we could say, trying to encroach upon the independence of the judiciary as said by our Honorable Supreme Court. I hope you are able to understand this, right? See, this model is, no, we don't have to follow any other model, but we have to make sure that we reform this collegium system and make this system more better in relation to appointment of judges. See, judges appointment delay nahi honi chahiye. If judges appointments are delayed, then we would see the backlog and the pendency of the cases, which is already mounting in the courts, right? So that needs to be resolved, and justice shall not be denied or delayed. That is very, very important for us to understand कि justice कभी delayed या denied नहीं होना चाहिए. इस वजह से फटाफट procedure होना चाहिए appointment to the judges. Maybe there shall be a time frame within which this whole process shall be completed. That could be one of the reform in the collegium system. I hope you are able to get what I am trying to convey to you guys, right? Okay. Now, today day is very important because today is commemorated as SARC Charter Day. I hope everyone knows what is SARC. That is South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, right? 37 years ago from today, SARC, an intergovernmental organization, was established by Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Maldives, Nepal, Pakistan and Sri Lanka. That is to promote economic growth. Very, very important to understand. this SARC was established to promote economic growth. Now here lies the problem. We know what kind of economic growth we SARC countries have achieved, right? We are far lacking as compared to other regional associations in relation to the economic growth. One of the problem is that after 2014 we have not been able to set up a SARC meeting. Reason being the problem that is growing between India and Pakistan. The animosity between India and Pakistan, because that is not resolved. There is the border dispute that we have. As a result, SARC as an organization is diminishing day by day, right? Plus, Pakistan did not approve of our motor vehicle agreement as well. Pakistan did not approve of our motor vehicle agreement as well. As a result, if I say SARC influence is reducing, but there is one little hope that if we could infuse certain political energy, we can establish SARC again. But if we talk about SARC, there is also another organization that can achieve the same thing that was proposed by SARC, that is economic growth. So that organization is BIMSTEC. And the biggest advantage is this BIMSTEC does not include Pakistan. इस BIMSTEC में पाकिस्तान नहीं है. So, if we say that this year earlier we adopted a SARC BIMSTEC charter. We adopted a BIMSTEC charter this year, right? But there is one thing that is missing in this BIMSTEC charter. One thing that is absolutely missing in this BIMSTEC charter, and that basic thing is that is found in ASEAN grouping. ASEAN में एक mechanism है that is ASEAN minus X, which says if two countries start a negotiation for a free trade, they can do it under the umbrella of ASEAN. It means countries of ASEAN can start negotiating a free trade agreement without every country joining it. So this is a very, very important thing that has been given in ASEAN, that is helping in the prosperity of the region of ASEAN. Now this thing needs to be understood that this is a very, very important formula. So let's say, why can't we include this type of charter or the formula in our BIMSTEC charter so that we could have free trade agreement with certain countries. Let's say कुछ countries के साथ अगर हम कर सकें free trade agreement, even though all the countries are not a participants to it, it definitely propels our chances of economic growth, right? So this is the article that it wants to say that overall, yes, हम one-on-one भी कर सकते हैं trade bilateral, but the thing that we need to focus is on regionalism. We has to take region as a whole in order to propel the economic growth. And as India's follow neighborhood first policy of neighborhood first, we need to make sure that we take along this region, that is the BIMSTEC region, and focus on this region of BIMSTEC, and includes certain type of formula like ASEAN minus X. So this was the theme of the article that this article wanted to convey, right? So this was the thing that it wanted to say. Like we can see as well, the BIMSTEC charter to post economic integration does not contain the flexible participation scheme of the kind present in the ASEAN charter. जो ASEAN में present है वो हमारे पास present नहीं है, and that basic thing is ASEAN minus X formula that we have discussed. A flexible BIMSTEC minus X formula might have allowed India and Bangladesh or India and Thailand to conduct their ongoing free trade agreement negotiations under the broader BIMSTEC umbrella. As a result, our whole organization would, let's say if we talk about the BIMSTEC organization, we could see the economic growth particularly among the countries of South Asia, right? Okay. So this was the theme of the article. Okay guys. This was it from today's newspaper, and we have covered the major aspects of today's newspaper. I don't think there was anything extra that we need to do. This was the thing from today's newspaper. Sorry, I wasn't feeling that well today, right? I have a running nose. I don't know how I have been able to take up the class with God's grace, but this is a thing that I was trying to say to you guys. No matter any emergency comes, you have to stick to your, let's say, protocol. आपका प्रोटोकॉल पढ़ना है तो आपको पढ़ना है, मेरा प्रोटोकॉल आप लोगों को पढ़ाना है तो मैंने आपको पढ़ाना है. आई होप यू आर एबल टू गेट दिस पॉइंट. ठीक है जी. स्टीम स्टूम हम ले लेंगे, उसकी टेंशन नहीं है, बट आई नीड टू मेक श्योर दैट यू गाइज कीप ऑन स्टडिंग, कीप ऑन फोकसिंग ऑन हिंदू न्यूज़पेपर एंड जस्ट ट्राई टू एनालाइज व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू से. ठीक है जी. If you have got the time, see the news again, see the video again if you are not able to understand anything, and ask your doubts in your comment box. I want that we shall build a great team in the coming years or in the coming months, so that we guys are together and we are focusing and feeding on each other's energies, right? Okay guys, I will end the session for today. Thank you so much for joining. It has been a great talking with you guys. विक्की गौतम, इंडिया को सार्क को रिवाइव कराना चाहिए. ऑब्वियसली ग्रोथ सबकी होनी चाहिए, राइट? तो इंडिया को रिवाइव करना चाहिए, बट उसके लिए पाकिस्तान और इंडिया के बीच में नेगोशिएशंस और डिस्कशंस होनी चाहिए. चलो जी, थैंक यू गाइस.